So I was talking to Danny Myrick the other day, great writer. He said during his first publishing deal, he was talking to his publisher and he was upset that the publisher was not doing more for him. And the publisher looked at him and said, "It's not my responsibility to make you successful." And Danny said that that really taught him a lesson that if he was going to be a great songwriter, not only did he have to write great songs, but he had to put his success, that responsibility for his success, on his own shoulders.
Yeah.
He said, "I couldn't expect my publisher to save me."
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true. I mean, that's pretty much everybody I know that has ever had a publishing deal. When they got that first deal, they were like, wait, I thought now everything was going to be easy and that, all my songs would get recorded.
That
And
was the easy part. Getting the deal was the easy part.
yeah, and my first publisher used to tell me, I'm your partner in this, but you've got to give me great songs. And if you're not giving me a great song, I can't do anything for you, And I hear, and you and I hear in SongTown a lot of times people blaming other people for their lack of success. Well, it's that I don't have a publisher, or it's that my publisher doesn't do enough, or I don't think my song plugger's any good, and just on and on, or the music business is trying to keep me out. But it's always somebody else. And every time I hear that, I just kind of cringe because I think, it's your career as a songwriter that you're trying to advance, and no one is ever going to be more invested in that than you are, And looking back in my career, no one has ever pitched my songs more than I pitched them. No one has ever helped me become a better songwriter more than me. I had mentors and people that influenced me, but I had to do the work. I had to take what they taught me and go learn how to apply it, and I had to spend days in the library working on ideas so that I would have great ideas in those co-writes and
What's
that
a
kind of
library?
thing. I'll have to show you sometime. So I think when you're in any situation that feels like you're at the mercy of everyone else, it's a pretty helpless feeling, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, you're giving up your power to
Right.
someone else.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can succeed
No.
giving up your power.
I don't think you can succeed in anything doing that, So I think as songwriters, we have to go, okay, if I'm going to succeed, it's going to be up to me, and I want to find great people to partner with and, come alongside me. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to my work ethic, my songwriting ability, the craft that I've put and time I put into building my craft. All those things are going to be what makes me succeed at the end of the day. And then if I find great partners, yes, they can help me maybe open some doors that I don't have, but they're not going to swoop in and all of a sudden make me the writer of the year. And when I got that first deal, I kind of had that feeling of like, okay, well, now everything's going to be easy now that I've got this publisher. And that just wasn't the case. It still came all back on me. I've gotten myself as many cuts as any plugger I've ever had by, going out and finding artists or writing great songs and pitching them to people, that kind of thing. So I think if you can take the mindset of like, I'm taking my power back, I'm going to own that my success or failure is going to be on me, I think that sets you off on a much better path. And years ago, I talked to an artist who had his first record deal, first record, and the record label kept fighting him and throwing out the songs that he really wanted to record that he felt really represented him. And so he finally gave up and just recorded everything they wanted him to record, and they put the album out, and it tanked, and they dropped him. And he said, I wish if I was going to fail, if I failed doing what I thought I should do, that's okay. I can live with that. But I failed because I was too weak to stand up and say, no, here's what I'm going to do. I'm the artist. And I think as songwriters, we have to, think about those kind of things of like, how can I take control of this situation and learn how to work in this music business and learn how to write and be successful?
Yeah. I'm just thinking of some of the successful artists that I've been around over the years, and they all had to take a stand early on and go, no, I want to record this song. Even with Darius Rucker, he had a career with Hootie and the Blowfish, and he took a stand and said a song that I wrote with him, he wanted that to be his first single. And a lot of people around him didn't see it, but he said that, told me later that he took a stand for that song because it was his career, and he wanted to make sure that he lived or died by his own personal gut feeling. And I think that's important for all of us. You said that, when you got your first publishing deal, you thought, oh, this is going to be easy. This is going to open all these doors. My first publishing deal, I got a pink slip the day before Christmas a couple of years later.
Ouch.
The day before Christmas, if you don't know what a pink slip is, that's where you get this basically letter saying you're fired. They call it a pink slip. And, I was at a company for 2 years, didn't really get much happening. And I was expecting them to get me cuts. They were expecting me to get cuts. And so I got a pink slip, and so that's where, looking back, that was the most valuable thing that could have happened to me.
Mhm.
Because from then on, I was just put the blinders on and did whatever it took to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just have to take the approach that nobody cares more about my career than me. Nobody in the world. So no song plugger is going to swoop in and save me. No publisher, no artist. It's going to have to be me taking control and doing that. And to me, the beautiful part about that is like I can control how hard I work. I can control, how much I develop my craft. And if my success depends on everybody out there, I'm going to be frustrated because they're just not working as hard as I think they should be working for me.
Yeah. And developing the craft, that never stops.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have a program in SongTown where you work with publishers. And I have just seen it over and over that we'll have SongTown members that are taking the classes. They're getting better and better with their writing, and they're good enough to get into the Edge group and start working with publishers. And then all of a sudden, we don't see them in any more classes. We don't see, like, they feel like, oh, now I've reached my goal. I can play a songs every month for a publisher. If they're good, the publisher is going to pitch them. But then they get frustrated because nothing's happening in the Edge group for them because they're not continuing to grow as writers. I've been doing this, and you have, for a long time. I wake up every day trying to figure out how I can write a better song. That's just part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote yesterday with Mark Nessler that I've written with for about 22 years. And I spent an hour and a half before we got on the Zoom working on ideas because I wanted something great to go into that write with, and Mark and I know each other really well. I could have gone in there with nothing and we probably could have come up with something decent, but I don't want something decent. I want something great, so I put in the work to make it happen. And it's just, when I encounter people that are having that approach of it's everybody else's fault, they always feel defeated and they always feel frustrated. And, what I want to help them see is like, hey, if you take back this power, there's a lot you can do to advance, and you may not get where you're wanting to go immediately, but you're not going to do that if you get a publisher today either,
So we basically have two choices. We can blame somebody else, or we can get involved and take responsibility for our own lives. And as long as we're blaming other people for what's wrong with our careers, our life, whatever, then you've given all your power away. And I think that's the beauty of songwriting, is expressing yourself and feeling like your words are powerful, that your music is powerful, so powerful that, gosh, I played a writer's round the other night. Someone came up to me and said, that song you played, Fall, that Clay Walker recorded, they were like, when my husband was, on his deathbed, I played that song every day as I was caring for him. Like,
wow.
and you get chill bumps because you realize your music, your words, your song can affect people in a positive way. This person literally told me, I don't know how I would have gotten through that whole situation without that song.
Wow.
And they were so grateful. So if you give that power away and go, well, you know, the whole system's rigged, my song never would have gotten to that end result of helping someone, you know?
Yeah. Well, you and I ran into a guy when we used to do a songwriter festival for multiple years in a row, and there was this guy that would come up to us every year with the same 10 songs on his CD. And he would say, you know, hey, these are better than anything on the radio. He had the same speech every single year. And I think you finally asked him one time, have you played these for anybody in the industry? And he was like, oh yeah, dozens of people. And you said, so dozens of people in the industry told you that these are not great, but you're still pushing them? And you said, why don't you go write some new songs? And he said, I'm not writing any new songs till I get these cut. But it's that thing.
Yeah.
It's like everybody else is against him, so he's just not going to write, you know? And
but we have to thank him, because when he said my songs are better than the radio, it inspired us to put together a course called Better Than the Radio.
Yes, he did. Yeah, but that was holding him back, you know, and he was actually a talented guy, but he had taken this approach of like, I've got these 10 songs that are amazing, and everybody's trying to keep me out, so
he's trying to change the world. Well, instead of him changing to work with the world, he's trying to tell the whole entire world that my songs are great. And at some point you got to go, okay, well, the world has been telling you that they're not, you know? And it's a hard thing as a writer to come to grips with. But as soon as you do, you can start taking the steps to get better.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, if he had just written 10 new songs every year that he got rejected with those, then he would have had, you know, a bunch of new songs that were probably better than those.
Yeah.
Even better than the ones that were better on the radio, than the ones on the radio, you know, so.
Well, if you just improve one thing every time you write a song, I mean, it's not going to take you long to be writing great songs.
Yeah. So we're saying, take back your power. Don't blame other people. Nobody's going to work harder than you are to make you successful. And we thank Sweetwater, who sponsors our show and is the most amazing place in the world to get gear. If you've never been to their Gear Fest, that's an unbelievable event. So if you can make your way up there sometime for that, you will enjoy it. But we appreciate their sponsorship. Links in the show notes to some books we've written, to SongTown. We'd love for you to check it out.
Cheers.